Well, good morning to you all. It's so nice to see you. I saw way more cars than I expected when I pulled in today. And I know that you are all patriots, and we're glad that you are here. And so we're going to get started with our program this morning. I think it's altogether fitting that we do so. And to give you a more official welcome, I introduce to you our interim president, Dr. Joe Burke. Dr. Burke.
Thank you, Dr. Cross. It's good to be here this morning, and thank you all for being here too for this what I think is a very important event and observance of the service of our veterans to our country. And first, I want to thank everyone who is on the program this morning. We have an exciting agenda, it looks like, with the various presentations. And so I don't want to take up too much time and yield all the time to the folks on the schedule. But I did want to mention a couple of personal things and some other things regarding our veterans. When, if you're like me, when you think about veterans, maybe your mind goes first of all to family members who are veterans. Of course, my dad was a World War II veteran, served in France, and I have an uncle. My mother's brother was killed in Germany during World War II. And although I was removed from that, I heard stories about the agony that my grandfather and grandmother endured in the days after the loss of their son during World War II. One of the more famous, I guess you could say, one of the people I think of when I think of veterans too is our 34th President of the United States, Dwight D Eisenhower. You know General Eisenhower as our president and served in World War II. He was president from 1953 to 1961, and he led the successful invasion of Normandy from 1945 from the Western Front. And a couple of things that General Eisenhower spoke to me. And one is, he said, humility must always be the portion of any man who receives a claim earned in blood of his followers and sacrifices of his friends. So that's why I don't really like the term self-made man or self-made woman, because none of us are self-made. We are here, we are where we are in our lives in part because of veterans, because of people who served in the military. And that's why, again, we are here today and we have the places in our lives that we have today. Another quote that struck me from General Eisenhower, he said, "A people that values privileges above its principles soon loses both." A people that values privileges above its principles soon loses both. So we are here today to celebrate and to thank our veterans for their sacrifices, their giving of their time so that we may enjoy our freedoms. So thank you again. Thank you for folks. Thank you for being here, and thank you to those that have a part on the program. We're ready for the presentation of colors.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. I'm going to take just a moment here, and I want to recognize somebody And if you don't mind turning your head and looking to the back, Carla Swinney, would you wave at the crowd? She's going to kill me after the service is over. But she had a great deal, as Dr. Wilson did. Dr. Wilson standing back there. Isn't that you? Would you wave at us too? All right, but Carla is the one that you have to fuss at, because I asked her before the service began if I could tell a story. And I am, and we're gonna continue on here just a minute. But this is a short one, I promise, or as my students call it, one of Dr. Cross's tedious anecdotes. The first week I was in the United States Army was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I didn't know anything about being a soldier. They had just issued uniforms that week with our names on them and everything over here. And they had us broken into 100-man companies. And the only thing I knew about the Army is everything anybody ever told me was, don't volunteer for nothing. Don't ever raise your hand. Don't ever let them know your name. Again, don't volunteer for nothing. And I thought, I'll remember that. So they had us sitting on the ground, and the drill sergeant came out and said, how many stinking college boys do we have? And I thought, there it is. So Randy just sat there, and the drill sergeant said, I said, how many stinking college boys do we have? All right, fine. I'm going into the orderly room, and I'm going to get your records, and I'm going to read through them if it takes the rest of the day, and then when I come back, then I guess we'll see. I raised my hand, and one other poor boy on the back row, whose name was also Randy Hurst, raised his hand, and the drill sergeant said, post. We didn't know what post meant. I didn't know that meant come here, but it does. Doesn't it, Colonel? Where are you? Yeah, there he is. Yeah, it means come here. So we got up and went up there, and we were in a big green field, and he said, we're going to have a police call. And I thought, I wonder what somebody's done that we're calling the police. I guess it's the military police. I didn't know at that time that police call meant you're going to pick up stuff, trash and popsicle sticks and chewing gum wrappers and cigarette butts and that sort of thing. And he had Randy and me get down on our bellies and crawl around. He called the area. And then he said, when he thought we had done enough, to come back up and to post our evidence. And we held it up right here, and he said, you need to remember this every time you have police call. If it ain't green, it don't grow, it don't wiggle, or God didn't make it, pick it up. And he reached over into my hand, and there was cigarette butts and different things, but there was a half a dead leaf, a dead oak leaf, and he reached in and picked it up and looked at my name tag and said, Cross, that's an interesting name for an atheist. You are an atheist, aren't you, Cross? I said, no, drill sergeant. And he said, well, then why did you disobey a direct order and pick up the leaf? Who made that oak leaf, Cross? I said, God made it, drill sergeant. He said, get down on the ground and give me 10 push-ups for denying a direct order. So he said, and if you're not counting, it's not. So I got down in the push-up position and did 1 drill sergeant, 2 drill sergeant, 3 drill sergeant, all the way to 10, and then I stood up. And he said, now hit the ground again and give God 10 push-ups for denying his glory. 1 God, 2 God, 3 God. So I never dreamed I was going to have to give God push-ups, but I did that day at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And that was the most heroic moment of my military career. So y'all blame Carla because she said I could tell that story. That's why I pointed her out. Right now, we're going to change gears here to a more serious mode, to a hallowed mode. And we're now going to have from the Decatur High School Junior ROTC, under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Snyder, who is the Senior Army Advisor. And we're so pleased to have him and his troops here now for the presentation of the colors. Okay, this unit is commanded by Cadet John Key, and I hope you get to meet the other members after the program is over. Right now, as they are presenting the colors, I would like to ask Mr. Mitchell Byrd, who's on the staff here at Calhoun and who is also a United States Air Force Vietnam veteran. Mr. Byrd, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, if you'll remain standing, we're going to have our national anthem. Allow the colors to exit the room. Please take your seats. Thank you. I can't tell you how honored I feel, and I think you will too once you hear him speak, that our speaker this morning, Dr. Joe Fitzgerald, is with us. And you'll see why we are mighty fortunate to have him here on such an occasion. And we know that tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we all know the key to it, to remembering that, 11/11/11, and that's tomorrow, because the ceasefire went into effect, as you all know, in Europe on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. But now, let's get on with the real speaker. Dr. Joe Fitzgerald was the founder and president of Honor Flight Tennessee Valley, an organization that from 2006 to 2010 transported more than 1,300 World War II veterans to their memorials in Washington, D.C. It was one of the first organizations in the country to honor World War II veterans in this way. Thousands of volunteers, guardians, family members, and supporters took part in every flight. Dr. Fitzgerald currently serves as the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. He is past chairman of the Alabama Space Science Exhibits Commission at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, past president of the North Alabama Veterans and Fraternal Organizations Coalition, and past president of the Association of the United States Army Redstone Huntsville Chapter, and past state president. Dr. Fitzgerald received a Bachelor of Arts in 1971 from UAH, a Master of Science in 1977 from Alabama A&M University, and he did postgraduate work toward his doctoral degree in Science and Technology Management at Hartford Graduate School and Southeastern Institute of Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a sincere honor for me to be able to introduce to you our speaker today, Dr. Joe Fitzgerald. Dr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you. It is wonderful to be with you this morning. And Dr. Burke, thank you so much for inviting me. Dr. Wilson, Patricia, thank you. What a wonderful job from the chorale this morning. Wasn't that great? That was a great rendition of our national anthem, and I was so proud of it. Thank you to the Warhawks ambassadors. They did a great job today. Dr. Cross, as your MC today, is wonderful. Great to meet you. I think I've met you many times before, but it's always wonderful to hear you. Carla, once again, thank you for all the work you did to make this happen. And a special thanks go out to our Decatur High School, which I think have left the building, but to Decatur High School Junior ROTC and Lieutenant Colonel Snyder. Mitchell, thank you so much for leading us in the pledge this morning. Well, tomorrow's a special day. But, it's been a very unusual year, to say the least, but we're all going to make it through, and we're going to be stronger as a result. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my privilege to be here today to honor a very special group of Americans, our veterans. As the world and our nation, our state, our communities, and indeed our families and loved ones fight the COVID-19 pandemic, we cannot ignore or diminish the importance of those who set the example and gave us the reasons and the strength to take on this challenge. We must take the time and must cherish this precious time to recognize and to honor America's veterans for their devotion, their patriotism, their selfless service, and their sacrifice on behalf of us all. Please, if you will, just take a moment to close your eyes and think what the world would be like if there were no United States of America. What it would be like if courageous men and women had not stood up as patriots to fight tyranny and to forge this great nation. As Americans, we join hands in the name of peace and freedom to pay our veterans proper tribute, to extend a heartfelt thank you, because it is the veterans' loyalty to country and the veterans' courage which have made America what it is today, and what it has remained for more than 200 years, the world's indispensable nation, the land of the free and the home of the brave, a beacon of hope in a troubled world. Regardless of which military branch our veterans have served, whether it be Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, this day belongs to all of them, just as it belongs to the vast generations of the patriots who came before. From the Minutemen who won our independence to today's warriors on the front lines in fighting the global pandemic and turning back aggression all around the world. The line of Americans willing to risk their lives for this land and the ideals and people they love is long and never-ending. Each of them is a part of our military's patriotic legacy. They have served with honor and with dignity. They have served in different places, in different ways, but served they have. They have not only fought our wars, they have preserved the peace, whether in faraway lands or at home station. They have lived uncommon lives under a common banner, a love of country, and service to their fellow man. It is therefore fitting that we pause as a nation, as a people, to recognize their service and their sacrifices. Almost 100 years ago, President Calvin Coolidge said, "The nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten." Well, America doesn't have that problem. Your attention and support today attest to that. We will never forget our veterans, nor will we ever forget our POWs and MIAs who have yet to be accounted for. This is the solemn promise. This is the solemn promise of a grateful nation. I might also add that we will never forget our families, the families of our veterans, for they too have served and have sacrificed and deserve our thanks and admiration. Each year, we celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended the First World War. The war to end all wars, as it was ironically known. World War I left tens of millions of people from more than 70 countries wounded, widowed, without parents, and dead. With almost 5 million U.S. troops served in World War I, U.S. deaths were nearly 117,000, with 204,000 wounded. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the battlefields of war-torn Europe fell silent as more than 4 years of unfathomable destruction in World War I came to an end in 1918. Unfortunately, for us all, that silence did not last. In the intervening years, we engaged in World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, a Cold War, a Gulf War, and a global war on terror. In every case, whenever freedom was threatened, gallant men and women risked and sometimes paid with the ultimate price with their very lives by donning the cloth of this great nation. That is what has always made America exceptional. The generations of patriots who dedicated themselves to the defense of the United States of America. At times of great peril, our veterans have kept the faith. They have kept us free and enabled America to keep faith with the rest of the world. That is why we must honor their faithful service and renew, reaffirm, and rededicate our commitment to keeping faith with them. America, each of us individually and collectively in communities, towns, and cities across this great land, must ensure that the freedoms our veterans helped to preserve and the nation they fought to defend is safe and secure for future generations of Americans. Right now, all around the country, veterans serve as teachers, as doctors, engineers, social workers, community leaders, first responders, and even elected officials. They continue to serve this country, this community, by making positive impacts, building stronger futures, and inspiring future generations to come. That is as it should be, and we have a duty to support them. All Americans are charged with the responsibility to ensure that the service and sacrifices of all of our veterans are not forgotten, but are continuously echoed in our respective communities across this nation and the world. Our military and our veterans are a direct reflection of what is best about America. In fact, they are America. They are the heart, the soul, and the spirit of this, the greatest nation on the planet. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. Thank you for your service. I know we have several veterans with us today. If you're a veteran, I'd like to ask you, please stand and be recognized. If you're a veteran of our armed forces, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day to all of you, and may God continue to bless America. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Wow. I kept thinking, how am I going to say that? It's the only way I know how to say it. You see why we are so fortunate today? To have Dr. Fitzgerald here with us. Thank you, sir, so much for all that you have done and for coming to be with us today. Right now, the Calhoun Chorale will offer a salute to our veterans. They're coming. so pleased that I brought two wows with me this morning. That is the Calhoun Chorale under the direction of Mr. Granville Oldham. Granville, thank you, sir, for that beautiful, beautiful music. And I have a little something here that Granville wants you to see. The Calhoun Chorale presents a fall concert called Encourage Yourself. Granville Oldham, conductor, you've seen what he can do. Newt Johnson, the accompanist. It is on Sunday, November 22nd at 5 p.m. at the Latham United Methodist Church. It's on Weatherly Road Southeast, 109 Weatherly Road Southeast in Huntsville, Alabama. And you can hear Bach and Schubert and Franklin and Lawrence and Mozart and Brahms and Tate and others. And so if you would like to see this, it'll be up here. And so we hope that you can go and they would be pleased to see you, and I'd be pleased to hear them again. And I mentioned that Mr. Newt Johnson was the accompanist as well. And right now, I'm going to cut here to the chase. You'll find on the chairs or on the desk, you'll see them somewhere, some evaluation forms, and we really would appreciate it if you would take just a moment to fill those out and turn them in. Also, we're going to have a reception in the lobby, and there will be food and drinks. As I usually tell my students to get them to attend things, there will be free food and drinks, and there will also be gifts. And again, wasn't that chorale something? My goodness, what a lucky man I am to work here so that I get to hear them and that you all came. So, thank you so much again for all of you who participated and for all of you veterans especially. God bless you and thank you for being here. Let's be dismissed now.
Great job, Randy, as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.